Welcome back to the Overlook Podcast, everybody. On today's episode, we have a very special guest, former Washington State wide receiver Kassidy Woods. Kassidy has a very unique and timely story. For those that don't know, Kassidy was at the forefront of controversy stemming from his removal from the football team after his decision to opt out of the season due to COVID-19.
Kassidy was also a major part of the We Are United movement, which he believes played a larger role in his removal. In this interview, we get Kassidy's side of the story, as well as his insight into the Pac-12 player movement and his plans for the season and beyond. So without further ado, here's Kassidy Woods.
What's up? Nothing much.
Kassidy, what's going on, my man?
Nothing much. How are you, Emmett?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I thanks so much for joining, man. I really can't tell you how excited I am to, have you on today. I mean, it really feels great to be interviewing players again in this new age, the sports revolution. So I'm hyped. How's your day been so far?
It's been good. Just been chilling. Cut a few heads today. That's really about it.
Oh, barber. You on the barber wave.
Oh, yeah. I'm like the team barber. I cut a lot of hair, here.
Okay. You give me a ball fade right here, man. Line me up too.
Hey, I do it all, bro. I do it all.
Right. You're also probably the team counselor, too. Everybody probably comes to you to kind of voice the frustrations that they're not able to tell at this moment.
For sure, yep.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's tell you about where you're from, man.
Yep. So I was born and raised in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Then moved to Dallas, Texas, around 2009. Just been there ever since.
Okay. So what made you kind of like jump into sports and everything?
Man, so seeing my dad, he played basketball in Missouri, and just seeing him, my mom, she played basketball too in high school. Then my two older brothers, they were really good at sports in high school and very well known. So for me, it was just like, hey, I'm trying to be better than them, take it to the next level too. So they definitely pushed me growing up, and the people I look up to, they're my biggest role models, my parents and my older brothers.
Totally. Is it all football?
No. See, I have 6 other siblings. So I have 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers, and 2 younger sisters. But my sister, she just left for college basketball. She's going to a JUCO in Oklahoma. And I think my 3 younger siblings, they all going to be basketball too.
Oh, that's what's up. All right, awesome. Because I come from a basketball family myself. I pretty much just went the completely other route. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, it made for a great story. So, at WSU, let's just clear it up for the fans. What position do you play and things like that?
Yeah, I play receiver. I'm a redshirt sophomore. Was going to be a redshirt sophomore. And yeah, I was looking forward to starting this year because I had to wait my turn. I played a little bit last year, but I had 2 dudes in front of me who, going to the NFL now. They're in the NFL. One plays for the Indianapolis Colts, another plays for the Los Angeles Rams. So with football, you definitely have to wait your turn. And this year, I was looking to really take it to the next level.
Yeah, I completely understand you on that one, man. Especially.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know how it go.
Man, 1,000%. And so basically, it all starts from us committing. You know what I'm saying? Like us making that decision to sign, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, to these universities.
Definitely.
And so, why Washington State? Like, what attracted you to commit?
Man, so it's funny. Like, I thought Washington State was in Baltimore, Maryland. So,
hey, look.
not knowing it was in the actual state of Washington. So it was just funny. And then it was just far away from home, My 2 older brothers, they stayed in Texas. And for me, I was just like, I want to see what's out there. Like, I'm just trying to, experience life, give something for my little siblings to look forward to if they want to, go away from home too. So when we got there, it was different, seeing the hills and mountains because, in Texas, everything is, just flat, the ground, there's nothing above the ground. And so seeing the hills, mountains, just the landscape of everything, it was real cool. And it was just a place where my family, where my parents felt, it was very family oriented. The coaches were cool. Coach Leach, I mean, he throws the ball like crazy. So it was a done deal. Like for me, it's like, hey, come here, build you some stats. They pass the ball every play with Leach's and his offense. So
that's Pac-12.
Hey, I'm going there.
Yes, sir. And because we were watching some old interview footage of you like post practice, and I mean, you seemed very happy. You mentioned Coach Leach again, like So I wonder where was the moment that you felt it went south, where you kind of felt a shift, because coaching relationships is always, it's key. It's one of the biggest reasons why us athletes, commit to a school because of the coaches and stuff like that. So what changed?
Well, it was funny because like this off season, I want to say during the winter time, when I went home in like December, January, Coach Leach, we found out on Twitter, Bleacher Report, Coach Leach had accepted a job position at Mississippi State. He didn't even tell us. So we was like, man, so that's where it all started. But I was like, I'm gonna still stay here. I could look elsewhere, but at the same time, it's a reason why I'm here. I'm gonna just stay here, stick it out, see what staff, we're gonna have. So that's when Coach Rolovich, came in from Hawaii. It's funny, my coach in high school, Dan Morrison, he coached Coach Rolovich. So I'm just like, okay, I run that same offense. I already know the offense. I know this coach. My coach, you coach for this coach.
Match made in
heaven. My head
right
coach
here.
in high school, his name was Tom Williams. He knew Coach Rolovich too, and the whole staff. So it was just like, hey, stick it out, stay at Washington State. We know these guys. They're good dudes. You gonna light it up these next 3 years. And then it's just crazy how everything just went after that phone call with him like 3 weeks ago on Saturday. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, because your current status right now is very, very conflicting, with you because of what you wanted to do and when you first got there,
Yeah.
You wanted to literally play ball, get to the league. You want to be one of those guys who can walk on that stage, But, you had to face some adversities, There's things that came up to where that defined your character and defined everything else. So
for sure.
We pretty much just want to know, like, how are you handling that? Like, how are you adjusting that? Because those factors matter. And I feel as though, like, not many people kind of understand those factors as well.
Yeah, people who never played collegiate sports think that it's so easy, especially for football. Football is so team-oriented. Like, it's different from any other sport. Basketball, those dudes who get scholarships, they going to play automatically. Football, it's not like that because you got such a big number on the team. So coming in as a freshman, that's tough to play as a true freshman. You got to be in the right situation. The right dudes got to be out there, So when I came in, the two dudes ahead of me, they were veterans on the team, so I had to wait my term. I already knew that, so I was just like,
"Yeah, next man up." You already know.
After I red shirt, after they gone, this is my time. Like this year, I was like, this is my time. And then when I got on the phone call, told my coach that I'll be opting out due to this pandemic and being a part of this movement, I was standing up for what I believe in and for the injustice. For me, it's like I can't say I'm a person of faith and not stand up for injustice that's happening throughout the system. That's just how I am. That's how I was raised. I've seen my parents stick out their neck for me and my siblings. And for me, it's just like, hey, this is a perfect time to do it. I stand firm by what I believe in, and I'm not going to change who I am just because I want to play some ball. Like, no, that's not.
Yeah, because you're more than an athlete, man. That's much for
sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That decision. Because, back when we were playing, man, like we were focused on football and everything else. But when these situations occurred and just seeing how you responded and other guys part of the movement and everything, it just makes me like happy that y'all guys understand y'all worth. Like, what I'm saying?
For sure. And this pandemic definitely, played a huge role. Because for me, it's just like God is really starting to align everything. Like this, you can either use this time as an excuse or you can use this time for the better, for sure. But I feel like with everything that's going on around the world, like we won't get a time like this. And I feel like the people, like the Bible says, whoever first will be last, whoever last will be first.
Amen.
And for us,
Amen.
Black people, we've been pushed back so much. And during this time, it's just like, wow, we really start to, demand change, demand all these stuff. We can actually change laws and use this time to our advantage. So for this movement, it was just like, it's time to do it for the people that's been exploited, and Black athletes have been exploited for so long, and athletes as a whole.
Yeah, because it's understood that you want to play ball.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
But it's just it's just for the organization and the team. Let's just say you're at a job, at the organization that you're representing, at the company you're representing. You have to understand, like everybody understands their role, understands that they represent who they're working for, who they're putting their time in for, and who they're putting their money in for. So as athletes and guys at schools, y'all just want to feel as though that it's the same thing the other way around. With COVID, these regulations and everything that NCAA has going on, it shouldn't hold you back from understanding your worth and overall your health, and you making a decision on the overall status quo of everything going on.
Exactly.
So, man, like, respect.
Absolutely. So basically, before the We Are United movement, would you say that your situation at Washington State happened before the kind of before the coalition between the Pac-12 and everything?
Um, yeah, before this whole movement, there were things that I was thinking about transferring just with the coaching change, but I talked to my parents. They were just like, "No, just stick it out. This new coaching staff, since you pretty much knew this offense in high school, you might as well just stick it out." Because when you commit to a school, you're never thinking about transferring to school at all.
Yeah.
Like never, never, ever, ever. So it's just funny how this movement had formed. Like when we first began, it was just like we're gonna do it silent. Keep it away from the coaches because they're gonna try to dismantle and turn guys against each other on the team. If they do, because this movement is just all about dismantling the system and them not caring about our health and safety and just want us to make them money. And so for me, it was just like I can't be a part of, Black Student Athlete Association. I'm the social chair member for that, and be a part of Student Athlete Advisory Committee and Student Athlete Leadership Team. Like I'm so involved with my school in these leadership roles, and it's just like I can't be a spokesperson for Black student athletes and athletes as a whole and not stand up for this movement. I'll be contradicting myself.
100%. And you most certainly would be able to be a part of it if you were, like, what I'm saying, actually playing and on the roster, because that's not what a football player does.
For sure. Yeah.
Like with you kind of driving the needle for athlete empowerment, that there was some conversation audio that you were able to get to kind of defend your decision and kind of protect the players. You know what I'm saying? So what would you say, how did that conversation go? And what was your intentions behind like recording these instances with your coach?
So, having Black parents, like they want to know what was said on your end and what was said on his end. So it was basically just to inform my parents, about what was said, on my end, what was said on his end, and just how it was go. Because I was just uncertain how the conversation would go. So I just wanted to make sure, I had evidence of what was said, because for Black people, even if we write, if there's no recording or no evidence, and there's been time when we had evidence, we still in the wrong.
100%.
And that's just facts. And especially with the coaching and the players dynamic, the coach is gonna win that say so every time. So for me, it's just like I need to cover myself and have evidence on my end, because if I didn't have the recording, people will automatically believe me. And even though I do have this recording, people are still believing him, even though I have the evidence on what
Exactly.
was said.
They'll still challenge your thoughts,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
facts. They challenge the facts. That's the craziest thing. Like yeah, man, it's insane. So basically your intentions behind it was, to kind of bring the credibility to the student athlete, rather the coach,
Sure.
Who naturally
Yeah.
has this kind of like realm of power over, the university, even the college town. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
imagine
Yeah.
like I wasn't able to. I started making the doc in like 2017, and I was gonna drop it then, and that was the peak time when the Texans owner said we can't let the inmates run the prison.
Yes. Yes.
That was such a perfect time to release the Overlooked, the docuseries, the podcast. But here we are 3 years later, and it's become even more amplified, and especially with guys like you, like actually leading the way and like giving us a voice, individually, because as soon as you started speaking out, multiple players started speaking out as well. And man, it's amazing. Like it's amazing.
How do you kind of facilitate and pretty much carry yourself with all the backlash you've been receiving? How are you been able to manage that pretty much?
For me, it's just like people gonna have their opinions on anything, any issue, to be honest. But I know how I am as a person, how I was raised. Still to this day, I've never said anything about my coach. Like he's went out his way to give me food, brought food to my house, and be there for me when my teammate passed away. So it's not that he's a bad person. He just handled this whole situation poorly. And for me, if I did something wrong, they will hold me accountable and, do the due diligence to put me in consequences for my actions. And the same should be held for him too. So when you do something wrong, you still got to be held accountable, no matter if you have a high position job or not. That's how I feel about it. But, I just been reading books. My mom been sending me a whole bunch of books, staying in my word, just trying to stay positive. because, I was basically ostracized from my team. I never thought it would get to that point. Of all the ways to be cut, I never thought I'd get dismissed, released, or cut from my team this way.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
actually, so what is your current what's the current status with Washington State right now? Like, are you officially? Did they send you like the official notice? Like, okay, you're officially like cut from the team, or like what is it? Are you still taking classes? And what is it?
I'm still, Pac-12 came out with a statement saying that all players have to be rewarded a scholarship and be in good standing with my team. Obviously, I'm not in good standing with my team with what my coach did to me. So for me, when after the phone call, he was basically like, it's one thing to support this movement and it's another thing to opt out for COVID. So I already knew that I'm not going to be on scholarship next year or even after this semester or be on the team, after all this. So it's
Wow.
like God is showing me that I don't need to be here no more. My time is up. So I'm not finna,
Don't
try to
force
do
it.
something to stay here when the signs are already given.
Exactly. And I could completely relate to that, man, because one of my experiences at the college that I was at before, like me and the coach didn't really kind of like get into it, And the thing is, like, you have to make decisions sometimes when just two people just don't have the same
For sure.
goal or the same kind of vision. You got to make that choice. You got to make that decision for yourself.
Would you continue, like, say if they offer you another opportunity, is that in the picture at all? Do you feel like Washington State will reinstate your eligibility?
Well, I talked to my AD a couple of days ago, and he didn't even apologize for the whole situation. He basically just told me and my family, "I hear you out," but at the same time, like, what was done was done. They just want to know where we go moving forward on my end. So it hurt. It was disappointing because, like, I'm a leader, on the team and outside of the team and for my university. So, like, you're not even going to apologize. So the damage has already been done. For me, it's like, just go home, finish out this fall semester strong, and then go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to you. Let's focus mainly on you, pretty much. Just as far as your involvement at Washington State, I know you mentioned a couple of organizations and things that you were part of. Could you dive in deeper to kind of like what all y'all kind of like accomplished while you're doing it?
So for the Black Student Athlete Association, that was the biggest one because that's never been done at Washington State before. So we started that last year or I think 2 years ago. And it was just big because there's never been a safe place for Black student athletes and athletes just as a whole for us to, come together and talk and for us to mix and mingle. Because I know for our football facilities, we have our own athletic complex, and the other sports have their own too. So we just separate from everybody. And a lot of us think that we spoiled and stuff. So just having this Black Student Athlete Association where all the athletes can join and see, like, no, we're not too big to talk to y'all. It's just good. It just created a more family oriented environment.
I like that, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with SAC, Student Athlete Advisory Committee, that's just a committee that oversees, there's a leader for each sport, for us to just talk about, what can we do to further the student athlete voice, changes that can be made, from staff who can help the student athletes more as well. And then with the student athlete leadership team, they pick a person from each university to, talk to the assistant Pac-12 commissioner, athletic Pac-12 commissioner, just to keep each school at each conference informed of, what's going on in each school and ways that the Pac-12 can oversee, the universities together and demanding these changes. Because we got the health and safety taken care of and we got our eligibility. So we won that case. And now we just trying to get the money part now, which it may take years down the road, and we knew that, but we're going to continue to fight for it. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. For sure, man. So what are the next steps, man? Like what's your plan moving forward with everything going on,
Man, it's funny because I was on the phone, the We Are United leaders, we were on the phone with Senator Cory Booker.
Oh, nice.
And he's the senator for New Jersey. So we got to talk to him. And it's just funny how a lot is riding on this election, So if Joe Biden wins, it will be a lot of more Democrats in the Senate and in the House than Republicans. And since he is a Democrat and Cory Booker is a Democrat as well, they're going to be pushing for athletes to make money off their name, image, and likeness. And so it would help tremendously if, there's more Democrats in the House to, push for that. So, I mean, it's just a lot, riding
Exactly. Got to
on
start
this
somewhere, bro.
election.
The
And it's just
world
interesting to
is.
see. But for me, it's like who's ever in the House, we need to push for, athletes to make money off their name, image, and likeness, no matter what, because it's just the right thing to do.
Exactly. Like equality needs to redeem itself as a theme in America, like
Exactly.
on the
Yes.
field and off.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So what would you say some of your goals are moving forward?
One, continue to pursue my dream because, I would love to still, try to play football elsewhere if I get the opportunity, but also just continue to demand change and use my voice and my platform. Because, it really hit me when I was on a podcast with some other people that was like, wow, Cassie, you really much like an activist. I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way.
For real.
So, yeah, so it's just crazy how God is unfolding, himself and just using me. Because I never thought that I wanted to be known for playing football, not this way. So it's just funny how everything is aligning itself and just causing me more to my purpose.
You and me both, my brother.
Yeah.
Man.
So you see a lot of these guys, Mike even mentioned to say one of the basketball players in high school. I think he's like 15
Yeah.
right now. Would you ever be interested in joining like some of the top black colleges as well, like for sports? I mean, even if the opportunity presented itself.
For sure, I would love to play for HBCU, just to, be around my people more, learn more about my own history because there's still so much more that we need to know. So I would definitely love to represent my people and play for my people.
Yeah.
Kind of bring the talent, the funding, everything back to HBCUs. I feel like that would really help restore the balance in college athletics.
Exactly.
HBCUs are growing, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Excited for this movement we have going on, man, because it's gonna. I feel as though in the next 4 to 5 years, man, like even the next 2 or 3, it's gonna be a good spot, a good feeling, a good vibe to it, man.
For sure.
It's needed like so much, especially with these Power 5 schools, like.
Oh yeah, and they would hate that. But so, has recruiting like started at all? Like I know that we're kind of still in the middle of everything, and we don't even know if there's going to be a season. But would you happen to have any leads on where you think you might be able to like kind of go, or that's still in limbo at the moment?
It's still a limbo at the moment because I haven't put myself in the transfer portal yet. I'm gonna just wait till I go home and talk to my family more about the whole situation because there's a lot of research that I'm still trying to do, just in case if I was to hit the portal early, would my school, keep me on an athletic scholarship for the duration of this semester? So it's just a lot of stuff I'm trying to figure out and make sure I know for sure when to hit the portal and when not to.
Yeah, your dream, plan, design, and execute.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the 5 things that people.
What are your thoughts on, other conferences continuing to play while the Pac-12 and the Big Ten sit out? How do you feel? How does that make you guys feel?
For me, it's like, I know athletes want to play really bad, but it's like, what will you gain? What will you gain from it? Putting your life at risk. Like your life is so much more important than, making these coaches money. And then, it's just crazy because I know, SEC, ACC, Big 12, they make the most money when it comes to those conferences. They big time conferences. I get that, but just know your worth. That's all I'm saying. Know your worth. Stand up for your rights. Make them care about your health and safety. Like there's so much money in the NCAA that they don't tell us about. They don't pay taxes. They're a nonprofit. They will support us if we all opt out. Like there's so much money in the playing field that they don't tell us that I feel like athletes need to know.
Yeah, totally. A lot of money being made under the table, my friend.
Yes.
What do you see the significance in these movements? Like the significance in We Are United, the significance in Overlook, the significance in We Want to Play. Like what kind of impact do you think this would have on the future of college sports?
I feel like they will start to realize that we need like a players union, people from each team and conference to, be that voice because, NFL, they got a player association. And I feel like for college, they need the same thing as well. Because just because we consider amateurs doesn't mean that our voice doesn't need to be heard. Like, it definitely does need to be heard, and they definitely should take into account what athletes care about. And because we make them money, so their employees needs to have a union to where we in direct contact with those people in the NCAA.
Yeah, totally. And I really hope, I really hope that they are willing to kind of grant us
For
a
sure,
College
yeah.
Football Players Association. I mean, because we definitely need a spokesperson. It shouldn't take like all of us, to kind of say one thing.
Exactly. It shouldn't have to take all of us to be unified for y'all to consider our health and safety. Like for
Exactly.
the Pac-12, it was a big slap in the face from my school because you cut me for a season that we're not even finna have.
Man, yeah,
And it just
exactly.
proved our point even more that this stuff was not safe to begin with by them canceling the season. Like, y'all could have did that a long time ago and just used that time to gather more research, gather more safety protocols, so we can prepare, have a season in the spring if we have it.
But no, they wanted to cut the very first player who spoke up and kind of shake things up. They're just like, oh no, you gotta
Yeah,
go, bro. Like, first things first, you gotta go. While we trying to,
yeah,
we're trying to
exactly.
finesse.
Yeah, and it's a bad call, it's a bad move. And then I understand with the liability waivers as well, and just being presented to y'all and other teams as well. Like, it's just from an athlete's perspective, man. It's like, do y'all really care?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, understand what we're worried about. So it's just, uh, man.
And I mean, even with the media right now, like sports media is just in a frenzy. There are so many news stories coming up out of Twitter, and like there are so many Zoom calls that I'm sure you've been on with a lot of journalists kind of swarming you essentially. So how is
Yeah.
it like dealing with the media and all this attention that you've got for actually using your voice?
I mean, it's cool. I don't really get the big head about stuff like that because at the end of the day, it's about change and not me per se. Like, that's all I'm concerned about. I could care less about, me getting all this attention as long as it's going in the right direction. That's what I care most about.
Totally. And would you say that it's a difference speaking on this platform with former players rather than talking to like another sports journalist that just kind of like how would you kind of dissect the two?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely so much easier to talk to y'all because y'all understand, y'all know how it is to be an athlete in college. So we both relate in that aspect. It's a lot of journalists who don't fully understand what we go through, so it's hard for them to really dissect on why this movement happened, what was the reason for it, and what was the cause for it,
Being
And
yeah, my bad. Not a
no,
cut.
no, you good, you can go, you can go.
But yeah, just especially to speak on that as well, just being an African American athlete as well, man.
Exactly.
The school that you're representing, let's just say you're just going around at night or just going to the store and everything. Like, let's just say you don't have your school gear on, man. The looks that you get, especially for you, man, you're a 6'4", 225-pound guy.
Yeah.
At the time, I was 6'2", 255. I mean, if I don't have my gear on and I'm walking somewhere, like,
Yes.
it looks at me of just like people being skeptical of what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I don't
Exactly.
think people, like the audience, truly understands like that feeling. Just to get looked at like you're portrayed as a guy who's about to do something bad.
A menace to
Definitely.
society.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, you could probably even speak more on that, especially in your time. So, what was that like for you as well, man?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I went to University of Northern Iowa. Now, different lane. I mean, I started at NIU just an hour outside the city, but then it was time for me to transfer, so I had to go FCS, and it was just a completely different feeling. Like, of course we got our gear, we got our hoodies, we got our, what I'm saying, our backpacks. So honestly, as a student athlete at predominantly white universities, that's
Mm-hmm.
like us having on our team gear is like a shield. Like, that's like a shield. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm literally a part of the community. I'm here with purpose, And it's a
Yeah,
shame that it needs to be like that. You know what I'm saying? And
for sure.
And it's just, that's an issue.
It is.
You deal with that as a black man. You deal with the issues as an athlete. You're dealing with the issues with COVID. You're dealing with the issues of racism oppression. You're dealing with the issues of family that you're dealing with back home, or just trying to grow in the mental state that you're trying to handle. It's just, you trying to facilitate things and athletes trying to do things nowadays is tough, and people just need to understand it. You're at a situation right now where you're growing, you're making a decision, and you're literally moving with it, and just handling that is one thing that some people have tough times understanding, Sure. And I know, man, it's an issue. And I know you probably dealt with it as well, for sure, Kassidy, especially everywhere.
And it's sad that we get more publicity and praise for being an athlete than being a person that we are. That's what's really sad. Like, they glorify, us when we are entertainers instead of, being educationalists and just being regular people.
Yeah. There's the things you're a part of right now, like what you just mentioned earlier before. How many people know that, Do they value that over you being a Washington State University football player who spoke about the We Are United movement? Do they understand that you are actually more than that? You're building a community, you're building precautions, you're building safety and just overall opportunities in the future at the university. So those are things that are valuable, that need to be understood, need to be valued by others. So, man, it's just, I got a lot of respect for you for that, man.
Yeah, man. Tons of respect for you, Kassidy. 100%. Someone's going to give you a chance. Someone's going to give Kassidy Woods a chance. And what are you looking for in that team or organization that, would bring you in?
Shoot, I'm just looking for coaches just to be straight up and just give me that fair opportunity to play, because I know the type of person, I know the type of athlete that they're getting. They're going to get somebody who's going to work hard. And, I just keep my head down and just do my work. That's all I'm about. That's how I was raised. That's what I was taught to do. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a leader for the team. And I'm not going to get in no trouble. Like, they're not going to get no troublemaker. And that's really about it. Totally. And another thing, you know your worth. Exactly, yeah.
you know your worth, and this is the summer of athlete empowerment. This is the year for everything. I feel like this 2020 is the year to hash out everything. And I feel like this is also the platform for athlete empowerment. And I really thank you, for joining us today. Seriously.
No, I appreciate y'all having me, for real. I love this, like, just, giving a voice for, Black student athletes. That's huge for us, because, we so much leaders in our own community, like, for just getting out of where we come from. People look up to us so much. So I just thank y'all for having me on this too. This is big.
Thanks again to Kassidy Woods for joining us as our first official guest on the Overlook podcast. We hope you all enjoyed his insight on the Pac-12 player movement, as well as being a collegiate athlete during these unprecedented times.
As a reminder, make sure to follow OVL Podcast on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page, and download all of our podcasts both on Spotify and Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll have plenty of more interviews with different perspectives on college athletics across the country. Stay tuned for an exciting announcement soon about our next guest. But until then, enjoy these last few days of summer, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for listening to the Overlook Sports Podcast.